Too scary.
My son used to be very active on something called Discord, which, from what I understand, is a messaging app for people who play video games.
Okay.
It allowed him to talk to people from all over the world that play the same games as him.
I see where.
So at some point, he broke the news to us that he'd been talking to a girl over in the UK named Lori.
Girl.
She and he had become friends, playing some sort of pirate game, playing together most days and talking pretty much all the time when they weren't at their computers. And eventually, he just up and asked her if she wanted to be his girlfriend, and she says yes. It was definitely a new concept for someone like me who grew up at a time when cell phones weren't even a thing, but I understand that we live in the digital age where new methods of dating are coming to the fore, so I just tried to be happy for him, as any mom should when their kid gets their first girlfriend or boyfriend. Plus,
Nah. I'm telling my kids. If you do that online shit, proceed with caution, cause there's some such motherfuckers out there on the web. Just saying. That's all I'm saying.
us with an entire ocean between them, it's not like I have to worry about them getting accidentally pregnant or something. However, one Sunday afternoon, my son emerges from his boy cave for what seemed like the first time in days, walks into the TV room where me and my husband are sat, and with a very concerned look on his face. We asked him what the matter was, and he just kind of shrugs, tells us everything is cool, and then just kind of wanders out again. So as you can imagine, me and my husband give each other a look as if to be like, what was that about? My husband gets up, follows our son into the living room before gently prodding him about anything that might be bothering him. From what he told me, our kid was just doing that typical boyish thing of pretending that everything was fine, but in a way that tells us that he's obviously upset about something. My husband then told me he asked after Lori, with our son responding in almost a visceral way of like, why are you always in my business, blah blah blah. He'd obviously touched on a sore subject, so our general conclusion was that he and Lori had broken up, and he just didn't want to talk about it. We weren't about to press him on it, so we kind of just left him to it to get over and move on to someone new.
Nah, that's that. Something clucked happened. Something clucked happened, so you need to be like, what's up? What's up?
But over the next month or so, our son seemed to get increasingly depressed. He'd spend more and more time up in his room, only ever coming out to go to school or eat dinner and then just retreating back to his little boy cave.
Wow.
Like I said, we figured this was because he'd split up with his internet girlfriend, but one time my husband was walking past his room and blatantly heard him talking to someone via his little voice chat Discord thing, addressing them as Babe and, at one point, Lori. So apparently they're still talking at that point, but we still assume that they were having relationship issues, putting it down to the fact that they were like thousands of miles apart. I know long-distance relationships don't work at the best of times, even when people were just a few states away from each other, but these kids had an entire ocean separating them, so God knows how hard that must have been on them. Only, as we came to learn, that wasn't exactly the problem.
Oh, yeah?
It was something much, much darker. So as I said, our son seemed to be getting more and more depressed over the course of the month. And it got so bad that at one point that me and my husband discussed getting him a therapist or something to nip the problem in the bud before it could morph into something less.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's relationship issues or she possessed him. I don't know if that's even a person that he's talking to. He kind of looks possessed. That's all I'm saying.
It's easy to deal with. But suddenly, out of apparently nowhere, he just perks up. One day he's looking better, feeling perkier, and is considerably more talkative.
No.
He actually seemed keener on spending more time with us too, which for a 16-year-old boy struck us as very unusual. I mean, not that we were complaining. It was nice seeing him feeling better about things, and We put it down to him meeting a new girl or just shutting out Lori from his life. This kind of sunny behavior carries on for like a week or so until one Saturday, when after coming down for breakfast, we don't see or hear from him for the rest of the day. Late in the afternoon, my husband goes up into his room, knocks on the door, and asks our son if everything is okay. He comes back down into the TV room, tells me there was no reply after knocking, then asks me if I'd seen him leave the house at all during the day. I tell him no, that if he had gone over to a friend's house or whatever, that he certainly hadn't let me know. Then my husband just kind of shrugs, tells me he has a headache, then walks off to the downstairs bathroom to get an aspirin from the medicine cabinet. Next thing I know, I can hear him springing down the hallway and up the stairs, his feet like boom, boom, boom as he rushed up to our son's room. I'm super confused, like, what's going on?
He overdosed. He overdosed. If I'm off, I owe each and every one of y'all $5.
Looking out into the hallway. From where I'm standing, I can actually see into the downstairs bathroom, and what I see makes my blood run cold. We usually kept all our pain pills and other such medication in a little plastic first aid kit style thing. We kept that thing stuffed to the gills, and there it was, lying on the bathroom floor, almost completely empty. Then, like my husband before me, it hit me what had happened. So I sprint up to my son's room where I find my husband leaning over our boy's bed, shaking him like, "Wake up! Can you hear me? Wake up!" There's a pool of puke sitting on the bed next to his head, and he's completely unconscious, and there are empty pill trays lying on the floor nearby. As soon as I walk in, my husband runs back downstairs to call 911, and I take over the shaking and the wailing, begging him to open his eyes. Now, the only light in the room was coming from his computer monitor, so at one point I look over to it and see one of the most haunting things I've ever seen in my life. On the screen is a webcam window from the Discord thing I mentioned, and it displays the body of a young girl that's just kind of dangling in midair.
My God. Oh my God.
It took me a second to realize what I was looking at, but when I did, I almost screamed the house down. She was hanging from something. I tried not to look, I really did. I just tried to focus on my boy as his dad ran back upstairs with emergency services on his cell. I should have told him not to look, but I was just distraught. I could barely speak as he walks back into the room and starts describing our son's condition to the dispatcher on the other end of the line. He's frantically talking away when he does pretty much the same thing as me, turns around to see the webcam window open and the girl's body hanging on the screen. He just froze and stops talking, long enough for me to be able to hear the dispatcher say, "Sir, are you there, sir?" At which point he snaps out of his daze and carries on talking to the person on the other.
Snapped out my ass. They just got clucked in the ass by that thing that was hanging by that noose. Is that what it's called? I don't know. So I'm guessing the boy got possessed, got clucked up by looking at her dangling from that thing, by looking at the monitor. And now the mom and dad looked at her, you know what I mean? And it's only a matter of time before they do something to themselves by getting clucked up. So, wow. So just because now, okay, I get it. Because they looked at the girl hanging on a computer screen, it's gonna take a little minute for them to cluck up themselves, which I don't even know how that even happened.
Other end. It was he that then had the same presence of mind to turn off the computer, all the while giving the EMTs her home address and begging them to arrive as quickly as possible. Our son was taken to the hospital where he promptly has his stomach pumped. We stayed all night, waiting in the visitors area, and when a doctor finally approached us with an update on our son's condition, I found my heart racing as I prepared for the worst. But thankfully, we'd gotten him to the hospital just in time. He survived, barely, but the same couldn't be said for the girl on the computer screen, who we assumed was this Lori girl he'd been in the long-distance relationship with. When our son woke up and saw us in the hospital room, he burst into tears. He apologized over and over again, and we all just cried it out together. He then proceeded to spill his guts to us about what had happened, and I honestly couldn't believe my ears. It turned out that they'd formed a kind of pact together just the week before, right around the same time he seemed to have perked up and gotten out of the funk he was in. Apparently, that was what did it. That she and he had figured out a way to escape the pain they were suffering, and that the revelation had been some kind of boost to him, as morbidly insane as that sounds. We went ahead with booking him into therapy, and he's doing much, much better now. We don't monitor his online activities, as he figured he'd just find a way to subvert us, but we definitely don't allow him to have a computer in his bedroom anymore. And since
hope
then,
not.
me and my husband have made an effort to acquaint ourselves with the darker corners of the internet, and believe me, there are some days I wish I hadn't. Because my God, are there some horrendous things out there, things I wish I'd never seen, and that I'll never be able to get out of my head.
If you have any trouble, please consult. What did I say? If you have any trouble, please consult with the people around you at first. True. Excuse me, I farted. True. This story was true. Was this like a real story, or was it tweaked a little bit? Like, that's crazy. Some of these true stories I'm reacting to, oh my God. So the fact that this is based off of a true story is crazy in itself. But let's not just glance over the fact that all three of them, the son, the mom, and the dad, and the girl that he was talking to overseas, looked at the computer screen with the dead girl hanging. They're all clucked. Even though the son barely made it out alive, I feel like he's still clucked. Mom and dad for sure. Because they looked at it. They looked at the computer screen. And something happened for a couple of seconds. Like they was frozen for a couple of seconds. And then they just went back to what they were doing. It was like they was possessed or clucked in those couple of seconds. But the fact that this is based on a true story is wow. That's crazy. That's hell. But please, yeah, that is true. If you have any trouble, please consult with the people around you first. Please. But with that being said, make sure I really hope each and every one of you all has a great 2021. Nothing but blessings on top of blessings on top of blessings. And yeah, keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy. My baby.